All right, I'm joined now by one of the brightest young stars in boxing, Brooklyn's own Bruce Shu Shu Carrington. He's the undefeated featherweight. That's what he is. He's set to headline at the theater at Madison Square Garden on July 26th, taking on Mateus Heita for the vacant WBC Interim Featherweight World Title. He's 15-0. He's a product of Brownsville, Brooklyn, and he's ready to bring a belt back to the city. Bruce, what's up, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. You know, I appreciate you guys for having me. You know, it's fight week.
Yeah.
Out in New York City, you know what I'm saying?
I like that right there. I like the New York City.
Man.
I like that you're home.
Yes,
right.
yes.
I'm happy to have another fellow East Brooklyn guy here.
Yes,
with
sir.
me.
Yes, sir.
So that's good. We were talking a little bit about that, and I love that you're embracing the New York City. You're feeling good though.
To be honest, I'm loved that the fans are embracing it. You know what I mean? That I just threw the name out there. I didn't really think it would catch fire, but everyone else is like, New York City. They saying that, wouldn't even say my name. So, hey, man, I'm down with it. I really
You had to lean into it.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it. You just got to lean into it. So let's check this, because you're days away from headlining at the theater, Madison Square Garden. You fought there several times. How many times have you been there?
This 6 times. This is my 7th appearance. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're going to be fighting for the WBC lightweight title that you're going to be fighting for.
Featherweight.
Featherweight title you're fighting for. Let's not get you the interim featherweight world title. Sure. When you step back and you think about your journey from Brownsville to the Garden, right? The fact you fought there multiple times, what goes through your mind when you think about that journey?
You know, sometimes I just think about me fighting in the amateurs as well, because I fought in the Garden a few times in the Golden Gloves and whatnot, but it's just something a little different now. Like you have more of a crazy fan base in the pros. Like the crowd is a little more rowdy, and then the lights are brighter. Just the whole experience is just different. But at the same time, I also think about just where I come from, Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. I feel like, you know, the strides that I've made and the sacrifices I've made to be here, you know, me not hanging out with my friends and me not going out to these parties and whatnot, like it was necessary sacrifices to be where I am today and where I see myself in the future.
It's interesting because I feel like when I've watched you at the Garden, theater at the Garden, you feel very comfortable. There's a couple of times you've won and you went up on the ropes and you said, "This is my house."
Yeah. Yeah, for sure,
You've completely owned it. And I almost, when I watch that, Bruce, I see the joy for you in that moment of that, right? Like, is that what's going through your mind? Because you said you think a lot about being where you're from, and we'll get to that in a second. But is that what's going through your mind with that?
I mean, definitely. You know, I feel like I've made a home in Madison Square Garden. The people make me feel like I've made a home. And then when I put on a performance, it's just letting them know and reminding them, like, yeah, like, this is my house. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those type of situations for me. But I just love to put on a performance for my fans because that's what they ask for. You know, I just like to oblige.
Yeah, no, you're putting on a good show. So for folks who don't know, I said Bruce from Brownsville, right? That is home to many legendary fighters: Mike Tyson, Zab Judah, Shannon Briggs, Danny Jacobs. No guy who you like very well.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you to be the next guy representing that boxing legacy out of Brownsville?
Man, it means the world. It's always been like something that I thought about since I was a kid. I started boxing since I was 7 years old, and me watching Mike Tyson on TV, Zab Judah on TV, before I even started boxing, that was already something that I was already into, and I'm just like, yo, these guys are like, they're cool as heck. But then once I started boxing, me learning Daniel Jacobs and then doing my history, Shannon Briggs and all these different type of guys, I'm like, bro, this must be something in the water when it comes to Brownsville. Why is there so many champions that come out of this neighborhood? Not a city, not a, like, you know, it's a neighborhood. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but then I think about the living situation, what we go through on a day-to-day, the mentality. I'm like, you know, it's no wonder why we end up, you know, being fighters and being successful in our path. But man, when I tell you, it's like, it's something that I've always wanted to be. I want to be the 8th world champion coming out of Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. That's a dream of mine.
That's been the dream, and you're very close to getting that. You're working your way towards there. You talked about some of those guys, right, out of Brownsville, but were there any specific boxers, any names you can mention that really inspired you while you were growing up, where you said, okay, that's somebody's style I really like, that's somebody I maybe want to take a little bit about from their game in the ring and apply it to what I do? Who were those guys that inspired you?
So I had certain stages, right? So in the beginning, it was Mike Tyson, hands down. Like, I was a short kid, and I used to always spar or fight people that was much taller than me. I had to implement his style, right? But then, as I'm kind of getting into my own, I'm looking at Daniel Jacobs. He was still amateur at the time. He was actually training in the same gym, and the way he used to just light people up with his combinations and just put numbers together, and just the way he would dominate in that era in his life, bro. It was just like, yo, like, I want to fight like that dude. Like, I wanted to fight like Danny Jacobs as an amateur for the longest period of time. And then I started to really get into my own as a teenager and really start to get like into Mayweather. Started watching Floyd Mayweather. So I would say once I hit that point, I think I just studied Mayweather the most from there on out.
That's interesting because the styles of the fighters that you liked are all very different, right? You got Mike Tyson, who's known for the offensive aggression, right? Danny Jacobs, a very balanced fighter. And Mayweather, some people may say this, a little bit more viewed as a defensive fighter. Do you feel like just taking all three of those styles from the different stages made you a better fighter?
100%.
Okay.
It made me more of a well-rounded fighter for sure. Like, I feel like when you're in this game, you have to have, you know, little shades of aggression, little shades of boxing and defensive awareness, counter punching, and then sometimes it's just brute, just rage. Sometimes, like, you just gotta just go in there because at the end of the day, it is a fight. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, your mentality has to go a certain place. So yeah, you have to be well rounded for sure.
That's dope. I'm really glad you were able to share that. You've spoken in the past about your late brother Ike, right, and honoring his memory. Rest in peace to Ike Hayden. How do you keep his memory alive through your fights, and what role has, you know, him not being here anymore played in fueling you to greatness in the ring?
I mean, well, you know, one of the main things I do is just by keeping his name alive. Just like you see in my fight outfits, I'll have his name on my shorts, on my towel. You know, I carry him everywhere I go. I think about him all the time, even to today. I think about the words he says to me. You know, no matter what I do in life, always strive to be the best. Don't strive to be nothing but number one. Because if you're, you know, trying to be number two, if you're not trying to be the best for it, period, what are you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing anything in life, like, what are you playing around with it for? Be the best at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay. And I take that very seriously when it comes to boxing.
Yeah. No, that was great advice for your brother. And I think I love that you're keeping that memory of him alive wherever you go, inside and outside.
He's my biggest supporter. When I tell you, like, he was one of those guys that would go around all of his friends, wear the Team Carrington hat, wear the Team Carrington hoodie. Mind you, his last name is Hayden. And it was funny. The Carrington out there, and he's telling everybody, yo, Shu Shu's the best. He's this, he's that. And to so much to the point to where years after he died, even to like up to like today, I'll get messages like, yo, your brother used to talk about you all the time, and I never met you and things like that, but yo, I know you through your brother. And I was just like, wow, like, it's crazy. He really reached a lot of people.
Yeah, I think you can see that. And it's funny, you and I were talking about something before we started recording about something your brother just told you about awareness, right?
Yeah,
just being around. We were talking a little bit about that. And I can hear and also just see the impact he's had on your life inside and outside the ring, man.
The man taught me how to ride a bike the summer before he passed, man. And I was like 17 years old.
Wait, you didn't learn to ride a bike until you were 17?
Nah, my parents wasn't playing it. They were like, listen,
you're going to be safe
school,
out here.
boxing,
school
nothing else.
Boxing, no time for bike.
No bike.
But you got the bike lessons in.
I got them in, in secret. But we got them in, though.
You were hiding this? Okay.
It was funny because he just like, yo, bro, mom's at work. Popsy busy doing something. I'm taking you out. We're going to ride a bike. I'm like,
you're going to learn to ride this bike.
Yeah.
All right. You can't do two things. You can learn to ride a bike and box at the same time. You can do this. All right. We're going to move over to Madison Square Garden, talk a little about Madison Square Garden here, because we know it's a mecca for boxing. Also, it's your hometown with you fighting here in New York.
Of course.
How special is it for you? Because you talked about how much you liked doing it in the past and being at the theater, but how special is it for you to fight in front of your city? Because anytime I talk to fighters, they're like, man, I love to fight in my hometown. This is the best thing I could do. So how special is that for you?
I mean, it's like giving back in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you're putting all this hard work in. They're getting to see, you know, little clips that you're posting on Instagram and whatnot of your training, your hard work. And then it's like, you know, now it's time to show them what the hard work is about and give them a show. And but also it's just also like this pride that I have when it comes to Brownsville. It doesn't just come from me just loving, Brownsville because of what their reputation is or whatever. It's because they supported me so much. A big part of it is because they supported me so much as an amateur. It was never like a crabs in a barrel type of environment for me. It was like they saw that I was grinding. They was like, oh, street lights are on. Yo, go back to grandma's house or go back inside your house. Do your homework. It was like it takes a village type of environment for me. Like they kept me on my game even when probably I wanted to just play around and hang out with my friends. Just probably like 10 more minutes. Like, nah, get your butt inside the house. Street lights is on. So it was like that for me.
Sometimes I don't think people understand that from the communities we're from, right? Where people will see the greatness in certain people early and in the community protect that, right?
Yeah.
And sort of nurture that and guide you through that. So when you're in, I guess a follow-up I have for you is when you're in the ring and you're trying to put on for your city and give back. I'm going to take the words you said, to give back before you're in a fight or even after when you win, right? You're somebody's undefeated. You've had 9 knockouts. How much of that goes through your mind where you're like, yo, what I just did here, that was me really giving back, because then you see the joy from those people in the crowd that have been supporting you for all this time.
I think about it all the time. I think about it every single fight because I understand the impact and the influence that I may have and that I'm going to have in the future. I want to continue to have an effect to where it's like when I look in a crowd and I'm on them ropes and I'm like, this is my house that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I'm seeing rival gangs sitting next to each other, cheering me on.
Because
that right there is powerful, bro, for me. And to have that type of impact, I'm basically lowering the crime rate whenever I fight. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something to where it's like I take pride in. And because I lost my brother through gun violence and stuff like that, it's like, I want to be able to continue to have families to live with their loved ones just for another day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I can do that, then I'm doing part of my job.
No, I'm so glad you shared that, because I feel like that's sometimes the thing when we talk about sports and we talk about the pride of Brownsville and all the fighters that came from that. That part of it is sometimes the thing that doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So I love that you said that and shared that, and I appreciate that. But let's ask this for some fans. They might watch this interview. They've never seen you before. Never seen you in the ring before. They might see you for the first time on July 26th. So if somebody has never seen Bruce Shu Shu Carrington in the ring, how would you describe your fighting style? Because you told me about all your influences. So how would you describe your fighting style?
I mean, I feel like, exactly like how you mentioned on my influences with that melting pot right there. It just makes for a fan-friendly type of style. Like, I'm 15-0 with 9 knockouts. I'm not shy to, get in there and scrap with anybody. Like I've mentioned my knockouts, my power is there. I'm very sharp, very quick, very slick. And I just, really like to give the crowd something they like to see. And that's why I like to call it the Shu Shu Show. It's a show, it's an event, it's an entertainment, man.
I like it.
Yes.
The Shu Shu Show, Shu York City. See, I almost messed it up.
The Shu Shu Show in Shu York City.
All right, so
I know it's a little tongue twister.
It's a little tongue twister.
You
You can rock with me on
it.
Okay, so you just mentioned this, right? So 15-0 was the record.
Yeah.
And people will see this in this interview. There are some very impressive highlight knockouts that I saw. What do you believe has been the biggest growth or evolution for you in your game inside the ring since you turned pro, right? Because once you go from amateur to pro, as you know, it's going to step up in competition a little bit. Everybody's trying to take your head off.
Yeah.
You're trying to take their head off. But what's been the biggest evolution for you as a fighter in that time?
I feel like, to be honest, my last fight in New York, back in September, I fought Suleiman Sagawa. That was actually my toughest fight to date. And that fight for me taught me that I needed to humble myself in terms of my maturity. Like, I just needed to build my maturity a little bit more, because before then I was like on a knockout streak, and my approach to every single fight was kind of becoming repetitive. It was the same, and I was expecting the same result because I was getting the same result. But with this particular fighter, he had a different type of game plan, and he fought a little different. And, usually like I just adapt like right on the fly. But because I was like just locked in on just getting a knockout and performing in front of a New York crowd and then just thinking about other things. I was like, my approach was definitely different. So I was like, oh, okay, this is what it's like, when, the big name fighters, they go through this type of situation. Like Floyd Mayweather's had it, Muhammad Ali's had it. All the great fighters have had that tough situation to where it's like, all right, they learn from it and they build from it. And now I've become more of a well-rounded fighter since. Now I just focused on my game plan and I just stick to it. And that usually helps me get the knockouts that way, to be honest.
So you're not even thinking about the knockouts. I've always wondered this for young fighters, if knockout streaks are really good or bad, or something you're always thinking about. I asked Edgar Berlanga this when he was on a knockout streak early in his career. But with that being said, it sounds to me like you feel like it was good that you got tested in a way.
100%.
To have that experience that is now you going into this fight has made you probably approach it differently, or a little bit more, I would say, focused and structured.
Definitely. It helped me out so many ways, even outside of the ring, it was something to where like I'm like repetitively like questioning myself, like, why was I immature in this situation? Why did I, just continue to fight this way throughout the whole fight? Why didn't I adapt? Why was I just so stubborn with this approach? I was just questioning myself to the point to where it was like, all right, now I know what it was. Well, I know what it was. I found out what it was mentally, and I was like, yeah, we're going to make this change. We're going to make this shift. And that was definitely a major growing moment for me.
Oh, that's dope. And we'll see how that applies to the next fight, which we're going to talk about now, because you're fighting Mateus Heita. He's an undefeated fighter, just like yourself. So we got two undefeated fighters that we'll see on Saturday. What challenges does he bring? Because I know you've studied him. I know you've been working on the game plan.
For sure.
And what do you need to do if you're going to walk out with that belt? What do you have to accomplish?
The interesting thing about him is that there's not that much footage on him. You know what I'm saying? So there's kind of like a little like
so is that
me
tougher
going
for
into
you?
the dark.
Is that tougher for you in the preparation?
In a way, I can kind of say that, but like there's enough footage on him for me, for where it's like, okay, like I kind of see his traits, I see his tendencies, and I can figure him out. So I see like, he has a good left hand usage, like to where his jab, left hand's down to the body. And, he fights in a Philly shoulder roll kind of defense with the shoulder in front and Mayweather-esque type of thing. But there's certain things that I'm going to be able to dissect as his weaknesses. I'm going to just dissect the strengths as well, too, and take that away from him. And you're definitely going to see that on fight night.
How much of it for you in this fight in the early rounds is, as you're trying to dissect that, downloading that information, right? So maybe in the first couple of rounds, 2 to 3 rounds, you're kind of looking, you're like, hey, I've seen this on tape, but now I'm seeing this in front of me.
Right.
And I'm downloading this and then making the adjustments. And how much do you think the last fight is going to help you make those adjustments here that you might see with Heita?
Oh, man, I feel like the last fight is going to help out a lot because, like, even in the last fight, I think my approach in the first round was a little too lax. So it was like now throughout the whole camp, for preparing for this fight, it was like, okay, like we got to be a little sharper the first round, so we're going to do that this next fight. And, I feel like I'm not going to drop too much jewels in terms of like, I can't give not too much, but we're definitely going to, approach, much more calculated.
Yeah, no, I'm always intrigued into that and how things are. Was there in your camp this time, right? Like, because, you go into this fight, was there anything different in terms of preparation, knowing that a world title is on the line? Because we can say that, you always want to be focused, but the stakes are different here. Definitely. I know it's here. Definitely. You're at home in New York, but Shu York City.
Yeah,
Shu York City. See, I got to make sure I right. But the stakes are different. Yeah. You are going for a world title here. So did that change any of the preparation around you and your team, or was it business as usual?
No, 100%. It, we definitely changed a few things. It's my first 12 rounder. So we've made the necessary adjustments to have the stamina for it, to have the gas tank for it. I've been doing deep water training. Like I've been training in like 13 feet water. Mind you, like I'm not the best swimmer in the world, right? So when I first started this type of training, I'm over there like, hey man, I don't know what my coach got me doing, bro, but hey, listen, it is what it is. But like I'm over there doing like squat presses with 20-pound, 50-pound dumbbells. Ooh. Underwater. We're like probably like just staying underwater for like over 2 minutes, just just pushing the endurance, the CO2 tolerance, and even when we're outside of the water, like we're doing breathing exercises to know how to recover faster. And all of that stuff has been helping me a lot in terms of my sparring in this camp. And it's definitely going to help into this fight coming this Saturday.
Oh, yeah, this Saturday is the fight, July 26th, everybody, at the theater at Madison Square Garden. New York City will be in the building. Look, the goal is to win. You want to win on July 26th. But
sure.
I got to ask you this. What are your long-term goals in this sport? I know you've thought about this. Are there any fights you're looking forward to ahead, or are you just focusing on any belts that you're like, hey, I want to go get this? What's your long-term goals here?
My long-term goal is to be multi-division, multi-undisputed world champ. I see myself possibly going undisputed in the featherweight division, and I'll be the first featherweight to do that if I was to decide to make that move, and of all time. I definitely plan on moving up to 130, dominating that division, moving up to 135, dominate that division. But, just one step at a time. I might even cap out at like 140, maybe 147 if it's a big fight.
Go that high? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Skills pay the bills, baby. Skills pay the bills. I can do it. I can definitely do it.
Understood with that. I got a couple fun things for you before we go. I got to ask you. I've always wanted to ask a boxer this question. And it's like, look, you're from Brownsville. You've walked around. You got a lot of fans. Somebody at some point has tried to say, I want to test you. I want to see, we want to see what the hands are like. Has anybody ever said, hey, Bruce, even if it's like shadow boxing, they're like, hey, let's throw hands. And how have you handled that situation where somebody might want to try to test Bruce Carrington?
Man, I've definitely had a few back in middle school. But ever since middle school, it has never crossed paths with me.
Did somebody learn their lesson?
Oh, yeah, real quick.
They learned today.
And unfortunately, there was a crowd around, and everybody found out that, you don't do that with me.
They understood.
I tried to tell them, no, I was pleading with this guy.
So you're like, I don't want to do this.
I do not want to. Like, come on, let me just try. Like, he gets a little close. He hits my hand. Then he gets in the arm reach. Once you get in this reach here, then it's like, oh, okay, now I gotta do it because he's not stopping.
See, I think the misconception that people have with boxers sometimes, right? And sometimes what they don't look at weight class at all. So if somebody looks at you and they'll be like, he's a smaller, I'm doing air quotes, speaking,
right.
smaller guy. You can't mess with that hand speed.
Not at all. Not at all.
You are not ready for that in the way you might think you're ready for that.
Not at all. Not at all.
But that guy found out. Last thing I have for you too is I'm gonna bring you my phone so you can look on YouTube. But I'm very curious for you. Could you pull up for me your favorite? Do you have a favorite knockout that you had?
That's crazy. Like, man, I don't like saying that I have a favorite knockout.
You don't have a favorite one, okay?
I don't like saying it. Like, I feel like that's something that the fans should, talk about, and they should, put that out there. Like me, I can't say I have a favorite knockout because I have all respect for every fighter that I fight. So I just can't just put it out there. I got a favorite knockout.
So let me ask you this then: if you can't say your favorite, what are the streets telling you? What are people telling you about? What's the one? What's the one that people are like, "Hey, Bruce, you got him."
I think that the most talked about knockout that I have was against Yuri Andujar, and I think that was like in 2023, and that was my first fight in Madison Square Garden as a pro. And
I just watched that. I just watched that knockout before we did this interview.
Yeah,
I understand why it's a lot of people's favorites. I will just leave it at that.
Yeah, it went viral, man. It went crazy.
Why.
So yeah,
it was a lot of people. A lot of people. Yeah. You don't have to say it, but the street said it.
Yeah, they said it.
You don't have to say it.
Yes,
hey, man, I really appreciate you coming up here. You're the first boxer I think we've had here in the building to come and talk about it. You're making Brooklyn proud.
Thank you.
You're going to make a lot of people proud on Saturday. Big fight for you, going for the title. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Good luck.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. That is Bruce Shu Shu Carrington, New York City. Check him out. Top ranked fight Saturday, theater at Madison Square Garden. He's going for the title. Good luck, Bruce.
Thank you.